Make sure to check out my Covey account, link down in the description. And check out my other series, Modern Classics and TV Treasures. Hello, I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache. And let's talk about celebrated director Tim Burton. But before he gave you the Ghost with the Most with Beetlejuice, or putting everyone's favorite Cape Crusader back on the big screen with Batman 89, he gave you the short film Vincent, about a boy who thinks he's Vincent Price, and gave you Frankenweenie, a film about a boy bringing his dog back from the dead, which coincidentally enough ended up being remade. But in between both Vincent and Frankenweenie, he made his own adaptation of Hansel and Gretel. And with the Beetlejuice sequel coming out, that is the short I'm going to be reviewing today. So let us talk about Tim Burton's Hansel and Gretel and see what is more disturbing. Tim Burton's Hansel and Gretel or Alice 1988? Let's find out, shall we? Hansel and Gretel is about the siblings, Hansel and Gretel, who are abandoned in the forest and end up in a gingerbread house where a wicked witch seems to live. The wicked witch lets them into her house to get a bite to eat, only for it to be revealed that she has plans to eat them. But Hansel and Gretel manage to outwit her and kill her off. So what do I think of Tim Burton's Hansel and Gretel? Well, I like it. Is it as scary as Alice 1988? I wouldn't go that far. Nothing will give me nightmares quite in the same way that film did. But this film has its own fair share of nightmare fuel, which we'll get to in a little bit. This film was made at a time when Tim Burton was just starting his career as an animator at Disney. His first animation job was doing animation for Fox and the Hound, particularly on Vicky. He even did concept art for The Black Cauldron, which sadly never made it into the final product. After he made his first film, Vincent, he decided that his next film was going to be an adaptation of Hansel and Gretel, which Disney already made an adaptation of Hansel and Gretel with the Silly Symphony short Babes in the Woods. This was Tim Burton's first time directing a live-action film, with a cast of nobody actors, and he even did concept art. The concept art he did ended up translating to live action really damn well. Tim Burton made the very peculiar choice of giving this European fairy tale an entire Asian cast, mostly because he was really into Japanese culture due to the Godzilla movies that he grew up watching. which is weird given how during the climax he has the witch doing a kung fu fight. Which, Timmy boy, I don't think you know this, but kung fu is Chinese, not Japanese. Did you learn your lessons from that Karate Kid remake? At the time, Disney had just launched the Disney Channel and they needed some content, so they ended up airing this short alongside Vincent and had Vincent Price opening the short. This short film ended up airing on Halloween night of 1983 and was never aired again. It faded into the darkness of obscurity and was lost to the sands of time. Many people have theorized as to why this short was considered lost media for so long. The popular theory is that Disney were too scared to air something this dark, which I do not buy for a second, given how Disney had released their fair share of dark material around this time. My theory is that they did not know what to do with Tim Burton. And in 2009, the short ended up being screened at the Tim Burton exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art. And in 2014, it was uploaded to YouTube. Let's talk about the music that accompanies this short. The music in this film was not done by Danny Elfman. They wouldn't even meet until their collaboration on Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So the music for this short was done by Johnny Costa, who is probably best remembered for doing the music for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And the music he uses in this film is kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, the music does give the short a very, let's say, dreamlike quality. But there are also times where it doesn't exactly fit, like the climax. The short opens with toys, which looks like a bunch of toys that were rejected for Pee-wee's Playhouse. All of these delightfully messed up toys are created by Hansel and Gretel's dad. And he's having trouble selling these toys. Yes, I know I've been using the word toy one too many times. But to be honest, what other word could I use? Playthings? That don't sound right. This friggin' toys. And what's worse, Hansel and Gretel's stepmother pretty much treat Hansel and Gretel like absolute dirt, feeding them what looks like Nickelodeon gack. And they're pretty much forced to eat this gunk as well as sleep in the attic. And their father entertains them and cheers them up with a clown puppet. The stepmother decides to take Hansel and Gretel for a walk in the woods. Hansel picks up some pebbles to leave a trail to find their way home. After failing to ditch them in the woods, The very next day, the stepmother gives Hansel and Gretel a toy duck. They take another walk in the woods, only this time the duck pretty much eats Hansel's pebbles. And while they're sleeping, the duck turns into a transformer. You know, I can definitely see this duck former hanging around with Wheelie and Brains from Transformers Dark of the Moon. Hansel and Gretel finally wake up, and the duck former leads them to a candy house. Now, in most versions, the witch's candy house is depicted as a gingerbread house. Hell, even the short film that Disney did, Babes in the Woods, nailed this down pretty well. Here, the house is pretty much a jelly donut, with its stuffings pretty much being the Jaeger from Street Trash. The Witch's Candy House is like something David Cronenberg would make if he was making a Candyland movie adaptation. And then we see the witch. And she's played by the same actor who plays the stepmother. I say actor because both of them are played by a guy. So you can't say she's a sweet transvestite.
Oh, come on! Come on! The movie forced it on me! Come on!
Which lets both Hansel and Gretel into the candy house, where they find a table, and this table is edible. Hansel and Gretel commits to eating the table, and it is so sickly sweet. Seriously, just watching this scene will probably give you diabetes. It is so sugary. If you wanted to stay away from sugar, watch this scene. You will never eat another sugary treat in your life. And then they go to bed in some marshmallow beds. And they go to Dreamland, only for it to turn into Nightmare Land as the bed comes to life and spreads out demon Freddy Krueger arms which grab both Hansel and Gretel. Hansel tries to get away, but the witch throws her ninja stars and captures him, and has the demon arms toss Hansel down a black void and into a dungeon. And she talks to him with, instead of a leg lamp, a snake lamp. And she drops a snack for him. And if you thought demon arms throwing him down a black void was enough to scare the pants off of you, how about we introduce this thing? Dan, the gingerbread man, who looks like the creepy brother of Mr. Bill. And let's just listen to his voice.
Hi. So, it's a hungry little Hansel come to pay me a visit. Is he a famished little boy? Does he want a nice big bite?
Who are you?
Don't you kids read anymore? I'm Dan, the gingerbread man. Usually just your run-of-the-mill midnight snack, but in this case, more like the last. Such a baby. Just imagine, crumbly crust, squishy inside, cinnamon a teeny little bite.
Well, maybe just a taste.
That's it.
I'm not freaking out. Are you freaking out?
Yeah, I think he's a little too excited for people to eat him. We cut from that disturbingness back to the witch preparing the oven for Hansel. And then we cut back to the gingerbread man singing, "If you think I'm sexy and you like my body." No, seriously, he sings that.
You think I'm tasty and you want my body? Come on, Hansel, take a bite.
After he finally smashes the nightmare cookie like he should have done a long time ago, the witch grabs him to toss him into the oven, and she starts monologuing, which gives Gretel enough time to fight her. Hansel finally gets loose and joins in on the fight, only for her to pull out her candy cane nunchucks. As she uses her candy cane nunchucks, Gretel ends up using one of her ninja stars to pour yellow ooze on top of the witch. She ends up throwing paint grenades in retaliation, and then she pulls out her cookie cutters, and then she kick drops into the oven. Hansel and Gretel made it out in time, just as the house is literally falling apart. And vomiting at the same time? From the destruction rises a swan, which takes both Hansel and Gretel back home to their father, and they reunite and they're a happy family once again. But wait, they're still poor. Not anymore. Coins come out of the swan, and they will never be poor again. If you're a huge Tim Burton fan and you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. 5 stars.
Until the next review, I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, signing off.